Hello, my name's Andrew Boxall. I'm going to talk to you about the aggregation service we've got and how that can work. So, a bit about us first. We're WeChange.AI. I'm the founder and managing director, public sector geek, self-confessed and proud. Worked in public sector for the best part of 10 years. Worked at Microsoft for 4 years, working with public sector. Started global programs about how change could be supported with change agents and whatnot. Master managing leading IT systems change. Yeah, that's me. You can find more about me on LinkedIn if you wish. We support a framework for change. So we do truly believe that organizations should be equipped to lead their own change, and that's all staff. And the way we've set this up is very much to do that. But we want to wrap ourselves around any size, and with the aggregation in mind, it could be a whole country and all the organizations that you represent, because the bigger the framework, the more likely you are to change, because you can get influences from others. We can set you up with change agents, communities, and the data and the AI services support people to understand that. So we do an assessment as part of our assess, understand, and enable, which is our framework. And the assessment asks loads of questions. We ask as many people as possible that you'll send the questionnaire out to in your organizations. And that gives us tons and tons of data, which we combine with other bits as well. So we look at perceptions of technology, social influences, pressure, workload, 7 open text questions, skilling needs. We look at everything that we could possibly include to try and understand the influence on people. And the assessment takes about 12 minutes, just so you know. Some people do it in 6 because we look at the data. Some people take slightly longer. So here you can see like the assessment, basically send it out to everyone. We've then got these questionnaire, the Power BI reports, which I'll show you in a minute. Then that helps you to understand it. 2 quick services to mention. So we've got something called Public Sector Connect, which is part of everyone's package. If we find you something interesting about one customer, we'll share it with the others so that we can support them. And we really help you maximize your existing investment in Microsoft. So between myself and the others that work at WeChange.AI, we've got best part of a decade are actually working at Microsoft. We've got people that run partners that have always worked with Microsoft, and then all of us have worked with Microsoft for almost our entire careers. So we've got well over 50 years between all of us. Now let's have a look. So the aggregation service is effectively where we can take the data from all of the organizations that you might represent, or you might work with. This might be for a combined authority. This might be for a country that's with an organization representing them. And we can take all of that data and then we can support you at the top. And this might be for identifying opportunities at scale. It might be for identifying communities across all of you. So you might have communities of practice around AI. You might have people that are really keen on accessibility, and we can identify those and support them. But when you look at it from that scale, you can do loads. And we've set up our model so that we can help each individual organization, so the ones down here, with their own unique needs, and the technology recognizes that and provides them with the help and support they need. But at the same time, with the obviously compliantly and with the blessing of the organizations, we can aggregate it up. So we can look for common use cases. We can look for returns on investment on some of the big things that you might want to do. And then we can work with organizations like Microsoft and other suppliers to say, look, this is what the data is showing us. This is how much we could lean in and support if we did this or we did that. We can look, all of this is backed by the data, so we can get tangible returns on investment, value on investment. We can look at training programs across everyone, still support every organization, but basically we can enable this huge aggregation of data to look at it in different ways. And as the public sector is increasingly working together, we have set up this service so that we can really, really help in a scaled way, which is really exciting. So this is one of the Power BI reports. So in the aggregation example, all of the customers that we would be working with would have this, so they'd all be able to see their own data. And just to show you how it works, you can go in, you can select a service, and it updates. And there's loads and loads of pages on here that I'll walk you through. There's AI services throughout explaining what the open text submissions mean, so that you don't have to read all of them, although that is something that we can do for you. From an aggregation perspective, we'd have a version of this where you've got a map and it shows you all the different organizations that you represent. And all the data will be combined so that you can look at it across everyone, obviously compliantly and with everyone's blessing. But this would be about trying to find those opportunities at scale. Now, as we go through the report, we've got things like AI summaries. So what's the open text submission saying with sentiment analysis? We're looking at how people are spending their time, so we can see the different ways that you can use technology to save time. We look at the efficiency opportunities. So for the aggregated view, this would be looking at the specific organizations. So we'll be saying which ones do we think we could help the most. Potential time savings aligned to the different products so that we can consider which products we should probably be considering. We do benchmarking, so we could do benchmarking between other public sector bodies across the UK and the ones in the aggregated data as you wished. We can look at the different ways people are spending their time. This is one of the open text questions, so that we can really understand the kind of things that people are doing, so we can help them as thoroughly as possible. And you see there the AI service has gone through the data and understanding it. We look at the technology that people are using. So we've got tech confidence, we've got the different apps. Red is, I don't know what it is. So the red is, that's the people, not me. I know what it is. The red is, I have no idea what the application is. So we've got the apps down here at the bottom. The yellow sort of orangey color is I know what it is, but I don't need it. Light green is I use it, and dark green is I use it, and it's extremely useful. We've got all the licenses in here, so it's you can really start to understand the different services. We do benchmark the applications as well, see how people are using those. We look at the things that people would like to do. So for the aggregated view, we could be saying, well, 70% of those assessed across the several thousand people want to do some work with data and personalization or AI and analytics. We could then say, we can see how many people want to do this. You could form a community around it. You could set up training programs around it. You could start to ask providers like Microsoft as an example and say, look, this many people want to do it. This is how much we could influence everyone in this geographical area or grouping. And can you help us? And I'm having worked there. I'm sure there would be ways that we could get support. You can look at the different ways that things are influencing people's change. So you've got anxiety and like awareness and pressure and workload. These are all the more cultural elements that are influencing someone on change. You can look at the different structure of the organization. So for the aggregated view, this would go upper level, so you'd be able to see it from the top. And then I've just clicked on Becky Brooks' team. Becky's not real. She probably is a real person, but in this she's not. And it's showing the motivations for change, top learning styles. So we could do a comparison across your geographical area of what are the different motivations, what are the different learning styles, what are people trying to do. We do look at barriers to change. With one organization we work with, it was something really simple in VPN. It was like 37% of people had a VPN issue. So we were like, fix that. And then that's going to really help people. But imagine this across the aggregated view. We identify your change agent. So we could do a change agent community across as many organizations as you represent, which would be really exciting. As someone that I started the change agent program at Microsoft, that's what my MSc is about. We're deeply passionate about the benefits of change agents. Look at accessibility needs at scale. All of these things can be done at the organization level or aggregated up. So as an example, this AI page is looking at the positive themes and the negative themes from the open text submissions. That will be really helpful across all the organizations. When we find something interesting, you can drill down into it and export it. But there is so much in here, and we love the opportunity to do a huge aggregation. We are talking with a lot of member organizations and like bodies that represent others. So hopefully we can do a lot more of this. But yeah, we've built it for the aggregation side. So this is another Power BI report. This is the other side of the work that we do. This is the learning and recommendations module. So from an aggregation perspective, what we do is every customer would get this. So there will be a version you could do at the aggregated level, or we could do definitely versions for each organization independently. And this has been designed to be exported as a PDF. So we put each customer's logo on there, and then they basically get the results for a specific service. So I've selected resource and support here, but I could select a different one or go further down. And it plays back their results. So it's giving them like a point in time, like an audit. So it's saying this is the summary. So how many respondents you've had, how many in the organization, what's the total they can benchmark against, how confident are they with tech, what are their motivations to change, how are they spending their time. And then we start going through things like applications. So we've really focused on the apps that people have got to really maximize your existing spend in technology. And I'd look at this and go, well, the Sway, not aware of that. I could click on Sway and it's going to take me to the main Sway support page. And there's loads of apps in here and we're always updating it. So last week we added some of the new AI functions that are in there, whiteboard and power apps as well, because lots of people were asking about that. We identify the change agents, and this is dummy data, so you don't need to worry. But if we were looking at this from an aggregation perspective, you could have a change agent network across all of your customers. You could have change agents focused on AI, change agents focused on data. That would give you a real collective. These are the people that we're working with. These are the groups that we're supporting. So you'd get absolute scale. It would be amazing, to be frank. Like I'm obsessed with public sector transformation. I just think it's fascinating. That's what my PhD is about. I'm just doing the research for at the moment. So we look at accessibility. We look at M365 and how people can use it and do more. There's loads of documents that we've linked in here. So you've got like the cheat sheets and stuff like that to help people with. We look at whether people are aware of apps, because we're finding that generally people would use them. They just have no idea they're there. So like here we can say, well, there's lists. So you click on that. And just for awareness, if when you export it as a PDF, all the links still work. So you can still export them and use them. There's lots of stuff on AI in here, as you'd expect. We include an AI example. So we've got like a prompt here for managers to use. So if I copy that and I go to m365copilot.com, note I have got the paid for version, but I'm going to use the web version because then just to show, because everyone's got that. So this is sharing, this is the prompt that's taken the data, so data-driven prompt, and it's written out some guidance for me in the sort of guise of the person reading this. And then we go through the time spent. So for resource and support, they've had 88 respondents from a team of 93 people, according to the manager's submissions. And then we've got some guidance on email management with loads of links down here. This is roughly how much time they spend on it based on the assessment results. And it does like a simple calculation. So it says, but you're based on the assessment, that's how much time you're spending. That's the average. And then it's multiplying the average by how many staff. So you've got an idea of how much time you could save. We look at collaboration, we look at producing documents, task management. We've put everything in here, but with a real focus on doing more with what you've got. Hypothetically, you have a service that wants to do more with, as an example, Power BI. I love Power BI. Here we've got a load of resource on Power BI. If you want a service that wants to look at something on, I'm going to cheat and put it into the title. I'm going to put Copilot. So there's all the Copilot resources. If they prefer video content, turn on true, and we've got video content on how to use Copilot. We've got a resources and accessibility manager who spends a lot of time just updating and making sure that all the links are there. I know people can search for them, but half the battle is just knowing that these things exist. I worked at Microsoft for 4 years. I've been full-time WeChange for 3 weeks, and I am still finding resources that I didn't know existed, and I was there 4 years. So yeah, we're really trying to make it simple for people. So that's the 2 Power BI reports. So you would, if we were aggregating this up, you'd have an aggregated view of all of the results for all of those that you represent, which would just be an incredible amount of data. You could really start to look at what are people trying to achieve, what are the opportunities, what are the communities that we can establish with the different change agents, which organizations have got the most opportunity to change, what are the challenges we've got that are consistent, what are the comms we should be producing. So there's a huge opportunity for an aggregation perspective. But from the perspective of each organization, they'd still get loads because they'd have this for their organization themselves. They could export this for every single team, every single service. So you could support a huge area and lots of people in numerous ways by utilizing this. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm really keen to talk through this more if anyone wants to go through it from an aggregation perspective. We'd love to do more of these because it's absolutely fascinating, and this is what we built it for. We built it for scale. We want to try and help as many people as possible, and then if we can do this like an audit every year, we can come back and we can really, really help you to drive things forward, because the more we understand about what we can achieve with tech, the more we understand about our services and our needs of our staff, the more likely we are to change.